That was a great joke, Jim. Why don't you say it again for our listeners? We're trying something different for this episode. It's where I throw Jim off his game so completely and totally that he has no idea what to say.
I feel like I should just leave the room.
I'm just monopolizing this cold open.
Why am I here?
I don't know. You're here because you are an integral part of this show.
Yeah. Shouldn't we be introducing something, though? Instead of, like, torturing me?
Who would I abuse if you weren't on this show?
Why does there have to be abuse at all? That's my question.
Because this is entertainment.
No, that's a gladiator thing.
This is Sparta.
I feel like I've been Sparta kicked.
Hey, we have an episode.
Yeah, we do.
We should probably talk about it a little bit.
Well, it's a first.
Yes.
And I know you had reservations about could we get an episode.
I did. When you kind of pitched this to me,
I
was not sure that we could. I was like, really? I don't think we could talk about that for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Well, we got about almost 2 hours out of it. So.
We did.
Yeah.
So you
told you.
Yeah. I underestimated your ability to talk nonstop for 2 hours.
Yeah. It's we reveal it, and it's like I said in the notes. It's going to be in the notes. Sometimes not every movie is a home run. Not every movie is a triple or a double, and not every movie makes it to first base.
Yeah.
This wasn't a strikeout so much as it fouled out.
Right.
Yeah, it's a rare instance where it wasn't terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It just was empty.
Yeah. And I was like, let's just let it go. We'll just do a different movie. And you were like, no, I want to talk about this. I think this is important to talk about.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it's going to be like a 20-minute episode, dude.
Well, it's not. And so let's not keep them hanging too much longer. But yeah, we talk about the hows and whys that this ended up not being finished.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of movies that we talk about that follow the same formula and why that formula worked for them.
Yeah.
It's a lot of lessons. Let's call it the slow burn effect.
Sure.
If you don't know how to do it, it's just slow and nothing burns.
Yeah.
And that's bad. All right.
Let's go in on a high note. Why don't you tell us that joke?
See, there was no joke. You're killing me.
Hilarious. You're so funny.
Oh my God. Let's get into this. Hey B-Siders, welcome to another episode of Bravo for the B-Side. This is Jim.
And this is your starving artist, Danny. I forgot to bring up my sheet, so I just had to make one up.
Oh,
yeah.
Off the cuff, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's related to the film.
Oh, okay. I'll take it.
Yeah.
That works.
Thematic.
So, we're here again. We have another movie to talk about.
Yes. You could say that.
Well, we're going to be doing some talking.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What's been happening? Not a whole lot.
Mm.
No. Did some more detecting.
Yeah. I found a dime. It was pretty great.
You found a dime. I found a lead weight for a fishing line and a little thing and a weird pull tab.
Yeah.
Very weird. I've never seen one like it. I don't know what it's from.
Mm-hmm.
So, Yeah, that's what Detecting at the Park yielded to us this week.
Bunch of pull tabs.
You got a lot of pull tabs.
Junk. Yeah.
You got a lure.
I did. I got a full lure.
With two little hooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little bitty one.
It was impressive.
That was a hard one to find.
Yeah, you ran after that one. Well, that little tiny thing that's, I don't even know. It's like between an eighth and a quarter of an inch across.
Mm-hmm.
I dug like 8 inches down for that thing.
Wild stuff.
I know.
Detectives are crazy.
But, hey, it's all about the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty much all that's going on.
It's my birthday.
Oh, I didn't know we were going to say that.
It's my birthday.
Yes, as we record
I'm
this.
your birthday girl.
You are. See, you should have opened with that.
Too late. Let's redo it.
Nope. Too far in. It's happening. Yes, it is my beloved's birthday.
Yeah. I got a cool book for D&D.
We went out to dinner.
Yeah.
Had kind of a relaxing day.
Yeah, it was very chill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't roll birthdays here like we do other stuff. So, except for the girls.
Well, the kid gets big parties.
Yeah, she gets big parties,
mm-hmm.
And yeah, we just kind of roll with it. We do a birthday dinner.
Yeah.
Go out somewhere. And yeah, otherwise, just like a nice chill day.
Pretty chill.
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost too chill. You're gonna
I was thinking that's a good segue into this super chill movie. So chill. You want me to tell you about this movie?
Well, should I bring up the movie? Oh no, you're bringing up the movie.
Yeah, it's my job.
I'm sure.
Whoa. This movie is thrown off our game. Here's the thing, guys. We decided we wanted to do a newish kind of change up the format of this podcast a little bit.
Yes.
And this movie was going to be kind of the pilot for that.
Right.
But you will find out that it didn't. I mean, we're changing up the format a little bit still, but this movie is just not fitting into that format.
Well, right. And, so what's going to happen is, okay, we're not going to do beat for beat.
Yeah.
Through a whole movie. We're going to do, like sections, like all at once, and, kind of talk about the things in there that's going on. And we're still going to go from point A to point B in the film, right? The major points, though, we're not going to do beat for beat. And then that'll give us more time to talk about, the things.
Stuff.
That,
Meat.
Yeah, that jumped out. So
Yeah.
those things we talk about will be the things that we'll talk about.
The juice.
Now, with that, going to admit, first of all, this last week, it has been kind of, it's thrown me way off my game.
Yeah.
A lot of things have destroyed my routine and my planning and my plans that I've had to make in the wake of other plans that had to go. Also had to have plans made for those passing. It's
a really long story. Too much to go into on here. We're usually very open. It's not that we're being like secretive. It's just, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's like another 25, 35 minutes of trying to break this down on the high notes. It's just been a hectic week. And, yeah. So anyway, we got to this movie, Friday night.
Yeah.
Right. So it's almost a week late.
We usually watch on Tuesday, record Sunday. So
yeah, just all kinds of things. And anyway, so here we are. We're thinking, all right, we're going to go ahead and do this new format, which we knew would be kind of a struggle, the first one, but we can do it. But here's the thing. And this will be in the show notes. It's not going to be a surprise for folks listening because I'm going to put it in the notes. This will be the first film that we've done for the episode that we could not finish.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting thinking, I'm not taking any notes. That's okay. New format. And then it got into my head. There's nothing to fucking take notes on. This is not good.
Yeah.
to have that happen. So anyway, we did not, just let's be upfront, we did not finish this movie.
No, we did not.
We're not going to.
No, we will not.
But at the end of it, I was actually kind of pissed off. And I thought, you know what? We're still going to talk about this because this is something that needs to be talked about. And we have a lot of examples and stuff we're going to come up with. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Let's roll on with it. Why don't you bring us into this, tell us what we're talking about, and we'll go from there.
So this was an indie film called This World Won't Break.
Mm-hmm.
It was made in 2019. It was written and directed by Josh David Jordan, starring Greg Schrader, Roxana Redfoot, Matthew Posey. It has no official MPAA rating,
right? But
on Tubi, it's rated TV 14.
Mm-hmm.
We found it on Tubi. The budget was $36,000, little bitty budget.
Yeah, and that was estimated, so give or take.
The plot / logline for this film. A broken-down, middle-aged Texas troubadour yearns to be remembered like the Southern bluesmen before him, but his failings and self-doubt forestall his musical dreams and blind him to the open road.
Yep.
Sure.
That may or may not be true.
This movie, first of all, I want to start here.
Okay.
This movie had a pretty good trailer.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
It was very well,
it's how it ended up on our list.
Yeah.
Because we saw this trailer and we were like, oh.
This is a character driven.
Right. And the trailer and the premise, I thought, was perfect for the show because it's all about, this isn't like, you put 6 months in. Mm-hmm. And shit's going to happen.
Right.
All right. It can be 6 years. It can be 16 years. There are people out there, folks, who have been at this for 20 or more years, haven't fucking made it. Right. Yeah. The big, I made it. And they're still, hauling ass on this.
For sure. It's not like, you do your time as a starving artist and then boom, stuff happens.
Nope. There's so many random factors. In truth, it doesn't matter how good or bad you are. Mm-hmm. Right. You still, at the end of the day, it's the roll of the dice, but you got to be doing stuff to be in on that game. It's like Lotto. You got to pay to play. Right. And if you're just sitting back thinking, oh, well, something's going to happen, and you're not actually doing anything to move forward or to, take steps or work out things in the industry, it's not going to happen.
Here were the things I saw in the trailer that spoke to me.
Yeah.
As things I want to see this movie. Strong, focused on one character.
Yes.
A lot of very interesting looking secondary and tertiary characters.
Yes.
Some little witty bits of dialogue.
Yes.
Good music. Good lighting. Good, framing and cinematography.
Yeah. The trailer was beautiful. Yeah. Every shot in it was very solid, very nice.
Yeah. And so I was very excited. I was very excited to start this movie.
Okay. So I'll take over from here.
Okay.
The other thing that caught me is it was a musician. And it's blues music, but
it's like country blues.
Well, yeah, but it still has a very big, presence in Nashville.
Yeah.
Right? Country singers all go back to being inspired by blues music, right? Mm-hmm. The very early ones. And then as time goes on, later artists are inspired by earlier country artists and also inspired by the music that inspired them, which comes out to, blues. And I love that kind of stuff. I thought this really was going to be we're going to get some blues music and we're going to, see this struggle and kind of thing. And it really hit because we all, we took Lily to the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville.
Yes.
On the way down, we added an extra day to the trip just to do that. Because it was, it's important. I mean, I'm not a huge country fan, but it was funny as hell. All the names I realized I knew.
Yes.
Because my grandfather, listening to Hank Williams and Patsy Cline and stuff. And of course, there's, Johnny Cash. But oh my God, I'm going through, I'm like, oh, I know that one. Oh, I know that one. You know, it was wild. And oddly, I knew more of the very old to relatively old ones, not a lot of the new ones.
Yet I'm not much for modern country music. I like the
Yeah.
older stuff.
Yeah.
And Lily was pretty ambivalent about the Country Music Hall of Fame. She's sort of ambivalent about country music. She likes some of it,
Right.
but she's not super into it. She's more into other kinds of things.
Yeah.
But as soon as she realized how many fiddles and violins there were in the Country Music Hall of Fame and how old and like radical they were, it became a quest for her, and she learned a lot, and she really enjoyed it. That whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, once we got there, she started putting it all together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she knows Dolly Parton.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You know, she knows Kenny Rogers, Johnny Cash. Right. So yeah, and she knows other like Shania Twain. She knows some of her music. Faith Hill, all that stuff. And then there's stuff going way back. She doesn't.
Oh, and Charlie Daniels.
Oh, and obviously Charlie. Oh yeah, that was her like coup de grace of the whole thing was Charlie Daniels fiddle.
Yeah.
Snap.
The black fiddle.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she loved being able to see that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so all of that was running through my head. None of that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start with the notes that I got.
Okay.
Okay. So it started out with a great night shot on an empty street. And it really struck me because one of the things I would do as street photography was go out late at night. And I did this in Arizona. I did it here, a lot of places. I loved finding it in Ireland even. I have shots of the streets at night with nobody out. Just, the cars, the storefronts, and the street lights lighting everything. There's just such a beauty to those kind of shots to me. So I was like, oh, cool. And then we got a voiceover. And it actually started having like a great monologue on blues music.
Yeah, like blues musicians and people who paved the way. There was a sort of like warmth and intimacy that combined that voiceover with all these night shots.
Yes, because it just got going from one to the next to the next. And then we go from that right into a bar. And the guy that was doing the voiceover is wrapping up a set. He's not playing. He's like putting his stuff away. And there are like 3 people in here. And his tip jar, it has just enough in it for him to get a whiskey before he goes. And then he goes out and then he, pulls away and the streets are empty as he goes out to his car. And
yeah, it's this little tiny Texas town.
Yeah. See, you said, I missed that whole thing.
Oh, I mean, it was in the description on Tubi and like he mentions it in the trailer. And...
Oh, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
this is how disengaged I got from this. It just kind of like wiped everything. So anyway, the next note I have is we have a phone ringing because there's still some stuff from here to there, right? And then we have a phone ringing and we have lots of shots of a big lavish house. And a woman, it's a voiceover, is leaving a message, and apparently she's a recent ex. And at this point, I sat back. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to soak this in. And this is where it just all fell apart.
So here's,
for me.
Yeah, for me, my notes in this place, I'm going to kind of like follow up your notes because we don't have a whole lot of them.
Right.
So we have this like kind of warm, intimate night shots. And then we have this very cold, like beautiful mansion that we're thrown into. All these empty rooms.
Right.
Right. And it's bright. It's morning. And the contrast is really startling. And initially I was like, hey, this is actually kind of cool because we're being shown the kind of 2 sides of this coin.
Right.
Right. Of the journey and then success.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn that it's the musician has like sneaked into the house of his ex's parents.
Their lake house.
This place. Yeah.
Yeah.
While they're away. Okay. And then we hear him playing some music. This is my next note. We hear him playing some music, and the music is all right. He's okay. But he's playing with this old timer who's way better than he is.
Oh, yeah.
like 20 times better.
Yeah.
Easily. Are you going to continue with your notes?
That was it.
Oh,
I'm done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have a couple more. So, we learned that he's way behind on his bills. His landlord is kicking him out, but is like nice about it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though all his stuff's on the curb, it's weird. And they live in this little like dome house neighborhood.
Bubble houses, like.
Yeah. It's wild. And I was like, I mean, I guess if you can find a cool aesthetic like this, I don't know why it's relevant.
I don't either.
You know. And then here's my last note. This movie, it is moving along very slowly, but is visually pretty nice. This town, these people, they're kind of like, every one of them we meet, and we're meeting of several people. They're like stagnant pond water. All of them.
Yeah.
They're like nice enough, but they're all kind of a little like,
yeah,
around the edges. And there's something like, maybe I want to find it charming. I desperately want to find it charming.
Yeah.
But it's just real sad. And that's my last note.
Well, yeah, I checked out.
We were at this point about 40 minutes.
No.
30 minutes into the movie?
30 minutes.
Okay.
We made it a half an hour in. So what made me check out? Number one, with the shots and everything, I was expecting to learn more about this character. What I got was a old-fashioned, straight-on country song. All right, we get it. He's lost his girl. He's lost his house. And if he had a dog, he'd have lost that too. But in this movie, he has 2 hermit crabs.
Yes.
Right?
And you can't really lose those.
No. So he carried them with his belongings and actually took them to a bar so they wouldn't roast in the car. Right? That was a huge disappointment because that was the only bit that we got. And it did not, that kind of shit doesn't do anything to introduce you to a character. Every motherfucker in the South with a guitar, banjo, violin, or whatever, right, who is living the country life, if you go by the songs, has lost their car, lost their house, lost their woman, lost their dog. You know,
you can convey all of these things about this person within a minute or two really easily.
Could have just shown him alone in his place, right? To show that, well, I don't even know. I guess I don't even care. I don't even want to wrestle with it. Well, I feel like I'm not here to try and figure out how it could have been fixed.
But that was what bothered me was it was the same information over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
For these 30 minutes. And I was like, I fucking get it.
That's exactly it. I have never had a movie. We have not finished some movies that were so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, not even good bad, right? Just so bad.
Unwatchable.
Yeah, that it was unwatchable. This was not unwatchable. It was the most uninteresting thing I have ever laid my eyes on. And I have sat through a lot of boring shit.
You know, you do come to a point in life, and we've both come to this point in life where we refuse to have our time be wasted.
Well, pretty much. But see, I'm also, I think we take a fair amount of gambles.
Yeah.
There's that whole thing, the Patton Oswalt thing, I'm kind of pissed off. But I'm really pissed off, but I kind of want to see where this is going.
Yeah.
Right? We do that.
Great joke.
We're pretty chill in that respect we've stopped movies before and like, what do you think? I don't know. This isn't fucking getting me, but I'm curious where this could go.
I mean, we made it through Who's Watching Oliver.
Yeah.
Which was tough.
Yeah. And yeah.
And that's the thing. I don't think this movie is as bad as Who's Watching Oliver.
And was
it's
it Alien?
A whole different game.
Alien Invasion?
We watched that whole thing.
Yeah, so I mean, we sat through it.
Yeah.
But that was a tough row to hoe.
It was rough. And that's the thing. This movie, I don't think this movie is as bad as either of those movies. I don't even think this movie is, like bad. It's just.
I was thinking earlier today. It reminded me, I don't know why, but it reminded me of the episode of Angel where they're looking for this demon, right? And it focuses on this kid. And then you find out the demon was being held inside the kid.
Right. Yeah.
He wasn't possessing the kid. He's like, there is fucking nothing there, man. It's not good. It's not evil. It's just fucking emptiness.
Yeah. This kid is empty.
Yep. And he just fucking.
And he was trapped.
Yep. He wouldn't let me out. Watching this, I get it. That's what I felt. I have never, watching a film, felt such a level of emptiness. It literally sucked all the interest out of me. Because number one, if you're going to have a movie about a blues musician trying to make it, why the fuck would you open with him after he's played
Not
his
playing music?
Right? Packing his shit up. At least give us 1 minute of him closing out, and you can montage shit over that if you want. I just thought that was an odd choice. And now to me, it was a critically bad choice because I didn't get any music. We got the little bit with him with the old timer. That was it.
Yeah.
We have this random fucking encounter with some goofy ass on a tandem bike wearing cutoff shorts and cowboy boots, saying he's the sheriff and talking about putting penises in jail.
Yeah.
Anyway, we shut this shit down because it gave nothing. And we talked about it. And like I said, I wanted to do an episode on this because we're going to talk about some films that are slow burns.
Yeah.
And why they kept us going, why they kept audiences going.
Because that's the thing. We can only surmise that this film is a slow burn.
It's 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah.
That's the only way that this film works. But it's far too slow for us.
It's, slow, super slow, but also, again, nothing was interesting.
Yeah, we're not moving anything forward. We're not learning any new information in new scenes.
His landlord looks like that could have been an interesting character.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When you have a slow burn, you don't introduce your supporting cast in the role of a depressing bad news situation, right? Because we get it. We're so immersed in, Jesus Christ, yes, he's losing his house. How long is this going to fucking go on? How long do we have to keep talking about this? Right? Yeah. And in their exchange, I got nothing.
No. I
got nothing. No information about the landlord. No information about the dude.
Right.
Right. The bicycle guy.
Nothing.
I was upset that was even there because I felt like my time was wasted. And then we ended with him going out, taking a boat out onto a pond to go to another boat on which some guy is sleeping.
And then he's fishing with that guy.
Yeah. And there's a lot of scenes of him getting in and out of his car and stuff.
And of his car driving.
Yeah. Oh, here was for me the tipping point. Okay. When you have a slow burn movie like this and there are scenes where nothing is going on, use a goddamn tripod.
Oh, sure.
Okay. If the only fucking movement you can put in your movie is moving a camera around like you've got the DTs, then you have failed at your presentation. I'm sorry. This isn't artistic expression. This is making smart choices in creativity. That's the thing that blew me. I'm like, this is not only so fucking slow, it looks sloppy as shit. Where did all these great shots from the trailer come from? I think the trailer is an amalgam of every good shot where there's like even the slightest bit of interesting dialogue. And then that's all that's in the film. That was my fear.
I think that's true.
We've actually just seen the movie.
Yeah. So let's talk about slow burns that do it right.
I know that we were talking about them and you made a list.
I did. It's not an exhaustive list.
Well, no, it was just stuff that came off the top of her head.
Yeah.
That, this movie wasn't, nothing like jumps out and grabs you like an action, they're slow burns.
Yeah.
And there's different kinds of slow burn films.
Oh,
We're
for
gonna
sure.
cover that too.
For sure.
But yeah, you have the list, so I think you can pick whatever you want to start with, and we'll just roll with it.
All right. So I'm actually just gonna go. I'm just gonna go in order so I don't get lost in this. I mean, it's not a huge list, but
Well, that's fair too.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes. Now, I did not see 2001: A Space Odyssey when it came out, obviously, because
Were you just a wee babe?
I was in diapers. I think still newborns. But I did see it in a theater for the first time.
Like a revival?
Well, it was here
Okay.
in Madison. No, it wasn't. No, actually, my mistake. I saw it for the first time on a theater here in Madison when I was 8, but I think I did see it when I was 6 on late night TV.
Okay.
The Star Trek hour.
Sure.
After all normal people go to bed. So here's the number one thing that kept me moving through that movie is I was a sci-fi fan. This was sci-fi. I had to see this. Now, I did get bored because I was a kid. And my top thing is Forbidden Planet. Because that was one of those sci-fi movies where it was a fucking thinker, right? Instead of just goofy creatures and weird shit and, gaijin and all this stuff. You had to think about stuff. And I fell in love with that. But that baby is a slow burn too.
Sure.
2001: A Space Odyssey is a slow burn. You have to be someone who appreciates something you've never really seen before.
Yeah.
And it gave us that with them walking, in circles because, he utilized rotating sets and pens floating in space and everything. All this stuff was wonderful to see. But I got to admit, that one borderlines on painfully boring and really not advancing the plot.
Yeah.
It actually did nothing. If you cut all of that out, you would miss it. You'd never know it existed. And there's no flavor because everything they did on the Odyssey was wonderful. The unconventional, positioning of their pilot seats.
Right.
Right. And then, he's sitting looking and all of a sudden the guy's behind him walking, perpendicular. You're like, what's going on here? I love it. Him, Frank jogging around the inside of the dome.
Well, I mean, it gives you a lot of really wild visuals.
Yeah. And that kind of fits the theme of what the story is about.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I will say what at least works for most, because there are people who have walked out on it. You have to be hardcore sci-fi and you have to be a cinephile. And from an early age, I just marveled at shit moving on screens.
Yeah.
And those things on screens were doing all these wonderful things.
Right.
And I want to know how.
Oh, yeah.
All aspects of it. How did that become a movie? What is a movie? How does it get from there to here? What are these,
I mean, it broke a lot of technical ground.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So.
That's the thing about this world won't break. It was nice, but it didn't break any technical ground.
No, nothing was going on. Nothing. Some, shots that attracted me as a photographer to, I like that aesthetic. I like the night stillness. Even in film, there's a stillness to it. And I love it. So anyway, for 2001: Space Odyssey, it is a slow burn, but it did capitalize on the two big things. Well, three things. One, people who knew the book, right? Two, folks who are sci-fi fans. And three, cinephiles.
The book was actually written in conjunction with the movie. It didn't come out before the movie.
Right. Not everybody flocked to it. This was not a
Yeah.
Disney opening
But it's not
thing.
like the book existed and people were like, "Oh, what a great book! Look, they're making a
No, but
movie."
that's what
Right.
brought people to it during its run.
Yeah.
They're like, ooh, Clark's got a new book out. Oh, it's this movie. Most of them will go to the book first,
Right.
and then go to the movie. So yeah, those are the things for me that hooked me into it. And those are the things that when I think about it, that's what, kept people there.
Yeah.
Because if you're a casual moviegoer, most of them walked out,
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's a fourth thing. After a while, they started doing midnight showings and people would do LSD and smoke pot underneath the screen and just lay in the theater. But
yeah,
I wasn't, I obviously wasn't part of that.
At 6, you weren't hot on the scene?
No, this is before even then. This was
okay.
like within the first year.
Sure.
This became one of those cult classics. And, because I tell you what, if you get baked before you hit play on this thing, this is the movie to watch when you're baked. Because that shit will make more sense to you.
Oh, for sure.
Ever. Those visuals are
the
tripping.
Universe and all its
beauty.
beauty.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Next movie. 7. Yeah. This is on the list. It's not as slow of a burner as some others.
True.
Right?
True. Well, a different kind.
It is a different kind.
Because it is is it thriller, suspense, drama? What is this categorized as?
I guess I would call it a thriller.
Yeah.
But it's a puzzle. That's what keeps you going in 7. It's a puzzle. You want to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, that's what keeps you going. But what draws you in? First of all, it's Morgan Freeman.
Well, of course it's Morgan.
Okay, you could
Who
put.
doesn't want to watch?
I've said this about other
anything.
I know. I've said this about other actors. You could put Morgan Freeman in a room watching fucking paint dry and film it, and people will sit and watch that bitch from beginning to end. Because it's Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. When
you have a giant presence and name and known, you can take these gambles because, at worst, people are going to be thinking, well, he accepted the part. So there's got to be something to this.
If Siri had Morgan Freeman's voice, I would never dare argue with Siri.
If Siri didn't have that awful foreign accent you gave it,
yeah,
you wouldn't feel so slighted.
She's British, but it's okay. Anyway,
it's a little snarky sounding.
She is.
Yeah,
she's kind of bitchy.
So the whole thing of having him, when you see him on the screen, yeah, it's Morgan Freeman. But we find out we want to know who this character is.
Yeah.
Right? Even before Brad Pitt shows up.
Yeah, right? Brad Pitt, who cares?
Well, I no, not to, slight him, but really, no, Brad Pitt has nothing to do with the draw.
Oh, no.
Of this movie. Right? And, Kevin Spacey's part in it was only at the very end.
No.
So you've got Morgan Freeman. You've got a character that is being presented to us in such a way. And it's not fast. We don't get everything. We don't see him in, 30 seconds, born, growing up, a career, and get into retirement. But just the dialogue, the little bits that we have of him, you want to be in on this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that's how you do it. And then from there, it doesn't get a lot faster. The information just starts to come at a slightly faster rate. And then it maintains, right? It's a steady course till we get to the end.
Yeah.
And
they do throw in now and then some grisly murders.
Yeah.
Which are pretty great.
Well, yeah. And the one thing I like about 7, what makes it work as a slow burn is those murders don't fit.
Right.
That's the kind of shit you get in fucking, interstate terror movies, Crash on the Interstate and, Airplane, Airport 77, all that kind of shit. It was so jarring because this is so slow And we know they're in the big city, and the city's moving fast,
Mhm.
right? But yeah, for this, like, they're anxiously trying to solve this, but nothing's moving quick. And for them, the world is moving at this slow cinematic pace. And then this horrible thing happens. It's like larger than life.
Yeah.
Which amplifies it. It also makes you question, things like, are they out of their league here? Are they out of their depth?
Right. Yeah. It's a fun one.
But then we get these wonderful reveals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Morgan Freeman's character he goes to that library. His friend's the security guard there. And they have it's a whole new world. It's not a fast paced world. He goes there to do research. His friends and the other folks there at the library have their card game, have their stuff going on. That fits the whole pace. But that was such a deeply interesting reveal of this character, of Freeman's character. And Brad Pitt was just the over anxious wild card. You never knew if he was going to pay attention or just try to fuck this off, because he goes back and forth. And that's fine. That's fine. It is what makes this whole thing move on, but the very beginning, I think we should think about like the first half hour of all these films. Right.
Because we made it a half hour into This World Won't Break.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so again, Morgan Freeman's character was introduced. The situation was introduced in enough to at least give me familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't think there's a person alive who hasn't seen some sort of cop show or cop movie. So I get what's going on. I get what's going on in the detective's room. I get what's going on with this guy. He's a detective. That's been revealed. I get, it's the big city, and, finding out he's leaving. So is this, and you're thinking, it just makes you think, is this a redemption piece? Yeah,
it does. I mean, you wonder where this is going, right?
Yeah. And you're like, I want to know more.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what makes Seven work is, and it might've been a gamble. I don't know. Might've been a calculated gamble with that pacing. But again, when you have Morgan Freeman spearheading the operation, and you got Brad Pitt, hanging on his coattails,
mm-hmm.
You can afford to make those choices because you're going to get an audience draw. I mean, we're talking business now. You're going to get an audience draw based on those names, probably enough to make back your budget and then profit.
Yeah.
Right.
But they had a good story too.
Well, yeah. It's one of those that wonderfully worked out where it was a good story. It's a good movie.
Yeah. I just thought of another one. Arrival. Arrival's a very slow burn. I know you weren't a huge fan of Arrival. You didn't feel like it quite paid off at the end.
I'll let you talk.
But here's the thing about Arrival, and I liked Arrival. At the end, it was a bit weird. It was kind of a wild, but what kept me watching throughout the film for Arrival was the promise that something is going to happen. Right?
Mm-hmm.
These things come and they're a danger, potentially. And if they don't figure out what these things are and what they're for and what they're doing, you have that sort of, we're going to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, so to me, again, this is one where I can't help but think on A-list movies, someone sitting in the editing room can't help but notice sometimes that these paces are super slow. And I can't help but think they're thinking, yeah, but I've got actors A, B, and C. So they'll get us through that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Which is kind of what it was for me. I was not a fan of this movie. But in that first half hour, I was fully on board. They introduced something. So it's like a post-start slow burn.
Sure.
Right? Because something happens right away. And then from there, it's just a slow kind of thing. So it's not like a slow burn to get to the point. They get to the point straight off.
Right.
But then things start to lag. Right? And through that lag, I was still for different reasons, as it shifted through the movie. Varying degrees of, I want to know what's coming next.
Right.
I want to see where this is going. And then finally to the point where I need to see this through because I want to see where this goes. What's this all about?
Yeah.
Rosemary's
Baby.
Do you want to take that one?
Okay. I have the unpopular opinion. I fucking hate Rosemary's Baby. I know a lot of people like it, and I get why people like it. I just fucking hate it so much. Hate that movie. But it works as a slow burn. Because while you're watching, you're wondering the whole time and you're trying to figure it out. It's again that it's a puzzle, right? Is she crazy? Is he gaslighting her? Are these neighbors crazy?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? Until, you find out oh yeah, for real. Yeah, it's a whole thing. But I hate this movie because it makes me intensely uncomfortable to watch. And I know that's the point of it,
mm-hmm.
but that's why I hate it. And I can't not hate it.
Well, different topic.
Right.
There's a lot of movies that are meant to make people feel uncomfortable. And we've discussed this with Who's Watching Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, okay, artistically, there's a thought, there's a way to go. But I think just based on, basic morals and a modicum of intelligence, there's a point where you have to think, you know what, we don't need this. This isn't going to advance anybody's perception. This isn't going to invoke any worthy conversations.
Well, that's the thing. Rosemary's Baby didn't spur a bunch of feminist movements or anything like that.
No.
And that wasn't the point of it.
Well, but in its time too, that was kind of the thing, right? People were reaching, I'm talking about, that was our biggest problem. Who's Watching Oliver was technically, it was proficient, but should never have been made because we just don't need shit like that. Right? Rape, torture, murder, and misogynistic treatment of women. I don't fucking care what your message is. You want to get people to think about it? Say, hey, make a YouTube video that's 20 seconds long and say, you know what? We can't treat women like this and we got to stop this shit. That's all you need. A whole blown movie that glorifies it is the wrong way to go. Anyway, don't want to get sidetracked on that. So, new listeners, that was one of what we call our red flag movies. One where we're like, nope, we'll talk about it. And we did. But we encourage people not to see it because nobody should make money off this fucking thing. It was horrible. But Rosemary's Baby, I get it. I actually didn't feel all that uncomfortable. This was what I just call one of my passive movies. Sure. It was interesting because, every now and again, it got me thinking about filmmaking and writing more than what was going on the screen.
Oh, sure. Technically, it's a very fascinating movie.
Right. But that's the thing, right? Slow burns catch you for different reasons.
Yeah.
So I wasn't disappointed in it. Right. I kept going, but it was, there you go. I wasn't fully interested in it, but it did keep my attention enough to want to go to the next phase. Whereas, This World Won't Break repelled me. The more I watched it, the less I wanted to.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the comparison. It's a good one to be on the list. Because it didn't intrigue me. It just kept me there at a base level.
Yeah.
Curiosity.
Alien.
Let's talk about Alien.
We just recently rewatched Alien, showing it to Lily for the first time ever. And her reaction?
Yeah. She's not a sci-fi junkie.
She's also not a huge horror junkie, despite the fact that she says she is.
Yeah, I know. Well, here's the thing. I think she likes it a little more than she thinks. Because going into it, Lily was terrified of the concept of watching Alien for years.
She was very afraid.
I mean,
be afraid.
Yeah, I've got the Blu-ray set of all the Alien movies, right? Mm-hmm. And, she'd see the picture on it. She's not a fan.
Yeah.
She wasn't. Right. So we had to keep that.
Don't want that.
Yep. And then, because I was watching Alien one night in bed.
Right.
Right. You were going to sleep, and she came in, and I paused it. And it wasn't anything. It was just, part of the crew in the ship. And she's always, what are you watching? Alien. Like, I don't think you'd be as scared as you think. No. Alien was a very close second to Clowns.
Right.
In her universe.
Yeah.
Right. So finally, the other day we were talking, and I think we did it as a joke at first.
Oh, yeah. I joked. I said if she watched it, she could have some popcorn.
Oh, that's right.
And then she was like, okay.
Yep. So we started watching it, and she's realized it's not as scary as she made it out to be.
Right.
Right. So let's talk about the slow burn. First of all, Alien is a sci-fi horror.
Mm-hmm.
Sci-fi fans are going to stick into it if you bring the goods.
Well, yeah.
Ridley Scott brought the goods.
That's true.
The interior of the Nostromo
dope
was one of the forget 2001, right? Forget the Odyssey. This was one of the most elaborate and extensive interiors of a spaceship to date. Now, mind you, this is post Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just give credit where credit is due. If it hadn't been for Star Wars, this would have never been made. If Star Wars had been a critical failure and only made it to its 150 screens and then shit, nobody would have heard of it. We wouldn't have Star Trek, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Alien, all this stuff. We just wouldn't, because sci-fi was dying in the world of interest. They were such bad movies. Nobody would give them money. So they're basically all indie films,
Right.
I mean, some of them were B movies, but they were treated as indie films. The opening shots of this, I was intrigued, first of all, by the reveal of the title. Just the two angled lines and the three verticals, and then they'd fill in the little pieces, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool.
I always thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I like that. And there was no wonky, weird, they learned from Star Wars, no synthesizer music.
Right.
It was orchestral music. These fucking shots were beautiful. They utilized Lucas's pioneering of how to do effects, and it worked. And I was thinking, I got kind of goosebumps when we watched it. As the Nostromo comes in, I'm looking at him like, it's all a model, baby. Fuck your CGI. Somebody built that thing.
So here's the other thing about Alien is it doesn't come down to like meet the audience is kind of my perspective of it.
Right.
It is just like you get to peek through into this world. There isn't really like exposition or anything. You're just kind of thrown in. They're all waking up. They're going about their business. You get a little bit at the beginning.
Right.
Like, oh, they're mining whatever.
And I love that stuff. Like the beginning of Blade Runner and stuff.
Sure.
I love intro titles, and we've talked about it.
Yeah.
How about a rolling super of this at the beginning? Like our sci-fi action thing that we're working on. We've talked about, why don't we just open up with, because then you don't have exposition. You don't have to work that shit in the script. You don't have to have characters talking to the audience,
But you're a fly on the wall.
But you're a fly on the wall. Yeah. And that's, I think, one of the great things is it marries my favorite slice of life. And to me, that's what successful sci-fi is. You should feel like you're a fly on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And even when it's like a fantastically paced thing, right? It should still seem like none of this is happening for me. This is just happening.
Right.
And they did an excellent job with that.
Mm-hmm.
But before we even get to that point, we have these great shots, rolling shots of the interior.
Right.
Right. And I laugh every time I see this, because they tried this with Star Trek when they reintroduced the new Enterprise. rolling shots and this, vainglorious presentation of the Enterprise that lasted like 10 full minutes.
Oh, sure.
And it was like, it's the Enterprise. It's got a few more curves to it. Windows are in a different place. But do I need this long? It's like when you find a shitty old 57 Chevy, you're like, oh man, it's 57 Chevy. I'd like to fix that up. Then you polish it up, get it looking brand new. You know what it is. You look at it for like 10 seconds, you're like, God damn, that cleaned up good. And then you move on.
Right.
So with these interior shots of the Nostromo, it worked because this was all new. It wasn't pretty. It intrigued the audience. We had the cockpit area.
It looked very practical.
It all looked practical, but it was dark. The Nostromo, when it came into view on the screen, was dark, right? Where, when they do CGI, shit's always lit up even more so you can see all the little bips and bobs they programmed into it. Everything about this was like, man, this is kind of, what's going on?
It's creepy. Is it a dead ship?
Yeah. And exactly. What's up with this fucking ship? Well, then you learn the ship is basically in shutdown, low power mode.
Right.
Because then we come to the crew, right? And that one, the blast door that opens, and the wind or the air from the pressure blows the coats next to it. I thought that was brilliant. And then the pods open and the lights slowly come on. All of this is so slow. Right?
Very slow. And they even wake up slow.
Yeah. And what's funny is, so let's talk about slow burn stuff. If you were to look at this on a script basis, because I have the Alien script and I've looked at it. We've talked about with the number of people we've talked to who say that it needs to be this way, this way, this way, this way, right? Would have passed on this fucking script. They would have been, no, because the general sense in the Hollywood machine these days, shit needs to happen now. I need to know everything now.
Move shit along.
Yeah, move it along. Move it along.
Don't waste people's time.
Yeah, like the fucking Tatooine stormtroopers. Move along. Move along.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Whitey. Alien works because it gave us something new, and there's no dialogue. There's nothing. And this is a long, slow burn beginning.
Yes.
And then when they wake up, they're just having fucking dinner, breakfast.
Whatever.
Yeah, their first meal. They're having a meal. They don't all get along. They're talking shit we don't fully understand. And I love that. I love that I love it when movies make you feel like you're coming away with some sort of knowledge, right? Like,
sure.
Like when you watch, any science movie, any sports film. I'm not big on sports, but what interests me is when they talk about sports normally. Okay. So, something like A League of Their Own is really more humor, right? But you get like Bull Durham and they're just talking baseball. I have no fucking idea what they're talking about, but I feel smart. I feel like I've been smartified. And I am engaged, just like I would be in a conversation with somebody who is really passionate about it. I have no idea what they're fucking talking about, but I'm fully engaged, man, because I see you're not just making small talk. You're on about this. And I'm going to try and register as much as I can to continue this with you.
I get that.
Yeah. They're just talking about what they do. And you just don't care. You're just like, okay, this is where we are now. What was the whole thing with the cockpit? What did that?
What is that?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, we're getting to that. Like, let us wake up a little bit first.
Yeah. Dallas, mother wants to speak to you. And then from there, we get it. Okay. The whole thing. And even then for a horror film, it's a slow ride.
It is.
And it sticks more to sci-fi than horror because there's not a lot of gore.
There is not a lot of gore.
I mean, the chest bursting thing, spectacular.
Great.
Right. But after that, it's not, bits and pieces and stuff, like so many other sci-fi horrors that followed.
Right.
Okay. Event Horizon being the one where they went gonzo with this shit. That's fine. Plus it had Sam Neill, so I'm there.
Well, yeah, one of the things that I found really intriguing about Alien, like the first watch through, is that so John Hurt's character, he gets the face hugger on, right?
Yeah.
And you're almost halfway through the movie when this happens.
Yeah.
And that thing fucking melts through his helmet, right? And they can't get it off his face. It melts through the ship, and they can't get it off his face. And then he's just suddenly fucking fine?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, hubba what?
Right?
It didn't melt his face?
I'm not going to lie. Here's what I thought when I first saw it in theaters, because this is one that I snuck into. I imagined that they're eating dinner and stuff, and I'm like, oh, he's going to be okay. Oh, I know what's going to happen. They're going to go to bed, and then he's going to do one of those, like, because all the 40s, 50s.
Oh, where all the skin like bubbles up.
Or he wakes up, he's like a slee stack from, the land before time. Or the land that time forgot.
Yeah, Land Before Time is the kids'
Yeah, is the dinosaur thing. Yeah, the land that time forgot. Folks, when the one where they went down the waterfall.
Yeah.
And the slee stacks.
Sure.
That's the only sound they made. They were so cool. Anyway, I made that reference once before in a movie that I think we covered that I can't remember the name of. It's been a long time. Anyway, so I honestly thought he was going to do some sort of transmogrification, and then we were going to get, like pincers and stuff. I was not fucking expecting the chest burster. And I just want to bring up Lily again. She was underwhelmed.
She was underwhelmed.
At the alien, the baby alien.
Yes.
She did not consider that frightening.
No. Well, she was like, because we told her, this movie aged really well. You can barely tell, that it's as old as it is. And after that scene, she was like, you can definitely tell because that alien was not as good as the, she said CPUs, but she meant CGI that we do today. And we were like, that's because it wasn't CGI, Lily. That was a real puppet.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
Yeah, there was no such thing.
I don't think she fully understands the difference, but either way.
Not yet. She needs to be a little older, because here's the wonderful thing about Alien. Okay, slow burn stuff aside. I know we're supposed to be talking about B movies and everything, but that is a fucking tribute to practical effects, because the xenomorph, I told her what fucked me up the first time seeing it, because it is a slow burn, right? You're waiting for the payoff, and that fucker paid off. The baby alien, I wasn't impressed with either, other than, good God, what happened to that man, right? And then it runs off. I'm like, no shit, that's it. That xenomorph was the first bona fide sci-fi monster.
Radical.
I think.
It's iconic now.
It is, because everything that came before it was paper mache, was not great.
Yeah.
And let's just say it. It was not great. Even my beloved, Forbidden Planet, we have Robbie the Robot, who was sort of like a technological thing. Ooh, pretty cool, and the monster was hand drawn.
Yeah.
Animated. And I bought that. All right. But everything else was, Godzilla movies and Karloff and all these people fully made up, and just nothing remotely comes close to the design of this creature. That was the one thing that has hooked this into my life forever, is just looking at the in the movie, Ash is saying he admires its purity.
Right.
Right. I admire the purity of this brand new thing.
Sure.
So this slow burn had a huge payoff, but it didn't get much faster.
No, but
Yeah.
you want, like, it's just very engaging
Yes.
the whole way through.
So it keeps you all the way through. I mean, obviously everything's going on. There's action and stuff, but yeah, through the whole thing, it slowly burns itself out and you just love the ride. But all that stuff in the beginning is visually enough to invoke the curiosity.
Yeah. Curious. Keep me curious.
Yeah.
Here's the next one.
Okay.
Does pretty much the same thing. I don't know that we need to go into it too deeply because it's very similar.
Sure.
A Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place. Yes.
Yeah. Good slow burn there.
Yeah.
The hook there, I think, was the quiet, right?
Yeah. Well, it
yeah.
It introduced a concept we're not familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How do you make a movie quietly?
Right.
What are they going to do?
Well, fascinating film.
And, what are they doing? And why are they doing it that way?
Right. Why is it so important to be quiet?
Yeah. So, and then we get it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's just like a good first act.
Yeah.
Introduction. And
then
shit kicks off like right towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But the slow burn up to that point, there's enough information and enough reveal of these characters that you are genuinely interested in moving to the next minute.
Well, the other thing they're doing throughout this movie is they're setting up, and you see it right from the beginning. They're setting up this kind of like Rube Goldberg deal.
Yeah.
On the farm.
Yeah.
And you're like, but why? What is that for? What is this for? Why is he doing this?
Are they quietly setting up a
benefits
practical joke?
What is happening? And then you finally, it's a big payoff.
Yeah.
The station agent.
So
we just talked about this movie.
Yeah, just talked about the station agent. And
slow burns.
Here's the thing, right? So we have some stuff in the beginning. We have trains. We have the train yard. Mm-hmm. And then what we do is as the credits are still rolling, we cut to the roof. And we have Peter Dinklage sitting up there, smoking a cigarette with his pocket watch like a conductor, looking at the trains. We right away, when the first time I saw this, I made the connection. The dude's into trains. Right?
Yes.
The
likes trains.
Yeah, the title helps a little bit. Station agent.
Yeah.
Right. But the original poster that I saw didn't have the station and stuff. It was just Dinklage and some other folks and big red station agent.
Sure.
So for me, I was immediately hooked. Okay, trains. He's really he's on top of it, literally.
And I mean, that's thematic throughout the whole film.
And then his character reveal of him in his room, packing his messenger bag. Everything's very neat, orderly, tidy.
Like a train.
So I'm getting, okay, this is part of who he is. Mm-hmm. This is his thing. And then he goes down the hall, knocks on the door. His friend answers and I'm in there.
Yeah.
Right? So they both like trains. Oh, they work at a train store. And then the life in the train store is very slow moving.
Yeah, it's a train store.
And I'm not going to bring up the purposefully boring train movie by one of the characters for the sole purpose of boring the other characters in the film. Right. That aside, the slow burn up to when Hank dies.
Yeah.
I wasn't anxious at all. I genuinely wanted to learn more and more. And that was startling, because I was in this super slow, chill, movie watching mode. Oh, this is going to be one of those, man. We're just going to float through and then he's fucking dead.
That's something significant happening within the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. And even then, it's very understated.
Yes. Because you're like, oh.
As you're figuring
he's
out,
dead.
Yeah, as you're figuring out he's dead, the fucking lawyer's already talking in the next scene
about how he's dead.
Yeah, to Finn, Peter Dinklage, and then Dinklage's character is just you already have such a draw onto him. I'm already wondering, okay, so he loves trains. That whole thing happened. The guy left him a train station. where's this going to go?
Right.
Right.
What's
and then
next?
we won't get full into the thing, but there is the thing again that This World Won't Break didn't have. I couldn't have cared less about this guy who's supposed to be playing music who has not really done
That's
anything.
the thing. We're doing this. We love slow burn movies.
Yeah.
That's like one of our big jams.
But I mean, here's the thing. You've got to have something to grab someone.
Yeah.
And while the rest of this movie could have been visually stunning, that's not enough. That's just not enough.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, what's next?
Heat.
Here we go.
I haven't seen Heat.
We started it.
Yeah, I know.
And then you fell asleep.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, we started at like 11:30.
Yeah,
and
I didn't fall asleep because it was boring. I fell asleep because I was tired.
You insisted you were wide awake.
I know. I lied.
In 17 minutes in.
I thought I was wide awake.
Yeah. Anyway, so here's one of those examples where you can take this kind of risk with the pacing. You have Al Pacino. You have Robert De Niro. Boom. Again, you could sit these two guys in a room, backs to each other, each staring at their own fucking wall with the paint drying. People will sit and watch to the end.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like wondering, what's Al going to do? What's Robert going to do? Come on, Bobby. Come on.
But it's like a cat and mouse game, this movie.
Yeah, this movie is a cat and mouse game. But the beginning is nothing but motion, right? It goes because we come right in. We have some night shots for the titles as they begin, but then we hit De Niro on an L train, you know, coming down the steps, walking. He's in an ambulance. He goes in the hospital. He walks through, right? And then he pops into an ambulance and leaves, you know. And then we have Pacino, you know, with his fourth wife.
Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah, you know. They're doing their thing. So this is what I would call this a barely slow burn.
Sure.
Because this is actually very good, steady, not hurried pacing to bring us these two main characters, to introduce them to us, right? And then we get De Niro's, you know, fucking robbery job.
Yeah.
That shit's loud and fast and harsh. But through the whole thing, this is a good cop thriller, crime thriller.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't hurry things along. And in the parts where the action isn't blowing up, you want to know what's his game. How's he going to get out of it? Because you start getting, you know, you want both of them to win. You know, you got De Niro's crew. You know, you got Val Kilmer on it. Tom Sizemore, you know, Danny Trejo. Or, you know, and these guys weren't mega huge back then. But, you know, I'm thinking, man, I'd like these guys to get away. But, you know, I want Al to, like, you know, get some points here too.
Yeah, the movie kind of dares you to pick a side.
Yeah.
All right. Let the right one in.
You take this one.
Let the right one in. So this is it's a foreign language film. And it is dark. I mean, this is a really interesting slow burn to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know exactly what's going on the whole way through. And I don't know. It's like watching a slow motion car crash, right? You know why she's attaching herself to him almost right away, because she essentially outright says why, right?
Right.
And he's just like, yeah, okay. So you're like, okay, where's this boy's parents? Like, what is going to happen to this poor child?
Right.
I don't know. This movie, it's a real weird one to talk about, but it's one of my favorite. Like, I love this movie.
Well, just think of the first 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, I think this is a hard one because for me, I think for anyone in America watching this, it's a completely different life,
Right.
right? This isn't an American production company going to like Yugoslavia and doing a Yugoslavian biopic or something,
I mean, they did
right?
do an American version of this that
Which
had, I feel, a lot less teeth to it.
it blew. It was terrible.
Was it like Just Let Me In or something? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it's unmemorable.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's a foreign film, so those right away capture interest because there's a different approach, and they're not overemphasizing a lifestyle, and they're not trying to hide it. So things are different. Questions like, where's this fucking kid's parents?
Right.
Right? But there are cultures out there where kids they're not even latchkey kids, right? They're just fucking alone like all the time.
Yeah.
Because mom and dad are working like 12 jobs, trying to make ends meet. Because things aren't rosy everywhere on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Right? Here people would have, arms up in the air and shit. Business as usual. So when you're saying like the kid's like, yeah, that's fine. You're like, what? I looked at it as, I get it. I mean, he's in charge.
Yeah.
And he's a fucking kid.
And
So
he needs help. And
yeah.
she's giving help.
And from that level of maturity and mental processing, you can absolutely fall in with that.
But he knows that it's a parasitic relationship right from the start.
Yeah.
And it's just very, ooh. So I guess what keeps you going in this film is, what kept me going is like, I had to know. How is this going to end?
Well, yeah, but the beginning gives us enough of him and her and the weird,
right? Their weird
initial interactions
mm-hmm.
that make you want to, what's this all about?
Right.
It gave us something to think about and look forward to.
Yeah. Winter's Bone.
Winter's Bone.
Very dark in a very
super
different way.
Dark. Yes.
Not a horror per se. More of like a very dark drama, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not the hugest fan of this movie. I know you're not the hugest fan of Jennifer Lawrence, just in general. But this movie kind of exposed a side of, American life that isn't often exposed in this way in film and in television. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of what kept me going into it, was that I was learning a lot of things as I went along.
It presented something visually that I knew I did not fully understand.
Right.
Right. I have been all over America. I have been, in the Appalachians, all this stuff. Doesn't mean I'm an expert. I'm not an expert on everything. Right. But I know in different areas, things just run differently. We're here where we are. We were just down, in Georgia and stuff. And your dad, lives there. So we know how, things are different, but there's even further. It's not so much as, from one city to the next in a different state. There are cultures in this country that are completely, I don't want to say self-absorbed. That came to mind, but that's not what. Self-contained.
Yes.
Thank you. Self-contained, where they have rules and structures and things we may not understand or even agree with.
Right.
But they are there. Now, yeah, in movies, they, flare it up a little bit and make a little more out of something than what it really is. But that was the same thing. I was continuously, just from this visual, I am brand new here.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't make any assumptions.
Yeah.
Or presumptions. Just that I have no idea what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Right? And that has nothing to do with the story even. We haven't even hit the story.
Right. That has nothing to do with the script or the story or any of that. It was just, it's just the world that you're presented.
Yeah. And then, as it goes on with that first 30 minutes, we're introduced to a way of life and a structure of how things work.
Mm-hmm.
in family, in neighbors, in the town, in just like the hierarchies, right? And it is so slow, and it should be, because the movie would have done even
It takes
worse.
time to absorb these things.
Yeah, you can't just jam that shit down people's throats.
Yeah.
You know. But it's all so subtle and so small, but it plays into, again, they're not acting this way for my benefit.
Right.
I feel like I'm following them around with a camera. They don't know I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The Lighthouse. So there are two versions of this movie. We recently talked about this movie.
Yes.
Both of them are slow burns. We still haven't seen the
Willem Dafoe,
Robert Pattinson
yeah,
one. But the one that we saw was also a slow burn.
Yes, it was.
It's just the slow descent into madness.
Well, and let's talk about the beginning. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have things that are introducing us, because we have all these cut shots.
Introducing the characters.
Introducing the characters. And they're introduced by one being in church and the other in a pub fight.
Yeah.
Right? Bare knuckle fight. And then they're on a boat to an island that has a lighthouse on it. I mean, that's the essence of it. All of those minutes that crept by, though, again, things are happening like, what's this all about? And then, why is this guy bare knuckling it and this guy's sitting in the pews?
Right.
What's this contrast about? So,
and why don't they like each other?
Well, that comes a little bit later.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, that's what draws you in right away. Is there's a contrast, right away. Anyone who's bare knuckling in a pub, you're like, well, this is someone to watch.
Well,
right?
that is
this
something.
Guy's got something going.
Yeah. That contrast is great. And that was kind of in the beginning of This World Won't Break. We have the bar and then we're thrown into that mansion. And I was like, contrast, cool. But then that wasn't anything.
Well, that was my initial thought so did he like make it? And we're going to see an old man thinking back. And then she's like, talking. And I'm like, oh,
it was kind of like someone was like,
okay.
in order to make this interesting, you need to have some contrasting visuals in the beginning. And he was like, you're sure? Okay. I got this.
Yeah.
But
when it was like, this is my parents' place and you snuck in and we're done. And oh my God, if I had to listen to her talk for like fucking 10 more seconds about how they're over, it's like she was explaining it to a toddler.
Yeah.
And that also made me think, well, if this is how this guy's going to be addressed in this, then I'm not. If this is who he is, that was another thing that just made me not want to engage. I don't like watching grown-up toddlers.
Well, yeah. And the other thing was like, we didn't see him doing any of that stuff. So it felt like it came out of nowhere.
Exactly. And I wasn't even, we don't see him in the fucking house till we see him in the shower.
Yeah.
At the end of the message.
Yeah.
That's like a full 4 minutes of Better Homes and Gardens.
It's very long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Here's a fun one.
Okay.
R100.
Folks, R100,
Okay. We don't labor under any pretensions that any of you have seen R100. If you have, fucking kudos to you.
Yeah, and if you haven't, honestly, give it a look on Tubi.
Not with the kids, though.
Not at all with the kids. But check out the trailer and see if it tickles your fancy. Because it tickled ours. Oh my God.
What?
Not one we'll be doing an episode on.
Well, because it is
subtitled. Yeah.
Which it's really tough for us to take notes on subtitled movies. It might be a possibility in the future because
with the new format. So we could because we talked about maybe doing it. Yeah. It would be a fun one. There's a lot of good lessons in that.
Oh, there are so many good lessons in it.
One of which is the slow burn.
Yes.
I've said this before. What makes movies like Station Agent, Local Hero, and stuff, the big, like, exciting plot is really a whole lot of nothing happens. I mean, a whole lot of nothing. These are not.
But this movie, it's simultaneously like nothing happening and also like just being constantly slapped in the face with a fish.
Yes.
Like, it is wild.
It is you yourself.
Never seen
sitting in the
like
chair, watching the paint dry, right?
Uh-huh.
And maybe it's that kind of paint that does little crinkles as it dries, so you're slowly watching lines form. There's something getting you fixated, and then schwack, fish smack.
Yeah.
And by the time you're like, I've been hit with a fish, it's over. It's done. It's gone. It's past.
It's done.
Back to watching the paint dry. Smack. It it gives us two things. One, again, it's a foreign film,
Yes.
so it instantly works. What we were just talking about, Winter's Bone and stuff. And let the right one in. It's something foreign, and it's in a language we don't understand. So
Right.
there's a lot of like signs and stuff. So already you're out of touch. So same thing with Winter's Bone. I don't know what's going on.
I don't understand this world.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it just goes on the way it does. So there's an added element not being from that culture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fully understand some of the little things that they're doing, why they're doing them. Right.
Right.
And what I'm supposed to get out of it. But it's not distracting and it's not disappointing.
Right.
Because as this stuff is going on, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, this is interesting.
Huh.
What's going on? And then,
God.
after like the first 15 minutes, right? Fish smack.
Yeah.
Oh, will there be more of that?
That's very much in line with the movie. Like, can I have another?
Yeah. So again, it's something that just right when from the credits on, you're just like, I want to know. I want to know more about this guy. I want to know this. What's he doing? Why is he doing it?
Right.
And you identify with him, even though it's a foreign culture, foreign, environment, right? It's just a guy working. He's a worker.
Yeah.
Right? He's a worker bee.
He's just a dude.
And that's, all of us can, be like, he's just, maybe this movie's about him just trying to get through the fucking day.
Yeah.
Spoiler. That's not what this movie's about.
Not even close. I still don't know fully what this movie is about, but
I don't either. But
100%
you know what? I think we need to put it on the list.
I think we do.
Because
we could maybe cover it in the new format.
We could, because there are some cutscenes that still make me fucking laugh so hard inside thinking about it. Right?
Well, once I got the conceit of the title of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is very clever. I'm not going to give it away.
No,
it's so fun, but
yeah.
Definitely watch it.
So anyway, yeah, that you'll see the trailer too. By the way, this is one of those where the trailer, the movie lives up to the trailer and then some.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gattaca. I love Gattaca.
Here's that thing again. It gave us an environment and it gave us characters straight off from the end credits or the end of the opening credits. That first 30 minutes, mm-hmm. you want to know, you want to learn. You're being educated slowly.
Yes.
Right? What's up with the system? Why is it like this? What's his deal? What's his bag? Why are they like this? Why is this important? Boom, 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 mm-hmm. boom, boom. And it's not like you're racing to catch up. It just lays it out. Yeah.
Local hero.
Yeah, I think we already know. It's just
slice of life, very much like The Station Agent.
It's just a masterpiece, and that's all we need to say.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. Starts out something very familiar for the time.
Oh, yeah. The radio.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to watch it today, it might be interesting with, well, what's up? You see him in his little Porsche, and he's driving, through the I don't even know what the interstate highway, whatever through town is, in Houston. And, it's nothing but cars, and it's this old timey commercial, and it's just fucking traffic everywhere, and then they, cut to, inside the building. They're watching their new commercial for their oil company.
Right.
Right. And so, all this weird shit stuff. Now that's, to me, I think that would be visually appealing enough to make you, what the fuck is going on? And it doesn't make you linger too long on that. But in its day, that was all too familiar.
Oh, sure.
I mean, that was the thing, driving the Porsche. That was that whole, the dynamic of that character. I'm going to be a successful businessman, and oil was the big thing. And, I'm going to drive a Porsche, and I'm going to have this super fancy penthouse apartment that's way too expensive, but I don't care because it's got a good view of the city and everyone can see me, And all
And
the
then
things
as
that
it
go along
goes
with it.
along, like it starts like that and then it slows way down. Right?
Well, those things are given to you. I mean, going from one scene to the next, it's not like 15 minutes a scene.
Right.
So it's a standard 80s type cut where we have a couple minutes of this, couple minutes of that, and it's like boom, 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 boom. Things are moving, but not at a super, action hero
Right.
rate, But again, what makes it worse is, or what makes it worse?
What makes it good?
Oh my God. What makes it work is, again, fly on the wall.
Yeah.
We're hearing about them. They're doing their thing. We're just observing. They're not dumbing it down. The exposition isn't there.
I fucking love it when a movie pretends that I don't exist.
Yes. I mean, shit.
It's become really popular for movies to break the fourth wall in that kind of way more recently. And like Deadpool, I love Deadpool. It's great. And
Deadpool,
I like movies that do it in a more subtle way, as well. But I love it when a movie pretends that I'm not even there.
Mm-hmm.
This is happening whether or not you're here.
If I wanted to be engaged, I wouldn't be in a fucking theater. I'd be out engaging real life.
Sure.
Yeah. Not to say like Deadpool, I welcome it because that's part of the humor.
Yes.
Yeah. But that same thing. Yeah. If I feel like you're, bringing me up to speed with technobabble and bullshit and explaining to me the explanations, that's not the reason I'm here in this theater.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. The last one on my list written down is Lost in Translation.
Lost in Translation is a slow burn from beginning to end. Even the ending
is slow.
Is a slow burn. Yes. And I dare say even slower than the beginning.
Yeah.
And why does it work?
Well, because it pretends that you're not there.
Well, we first of all, after the opening credits, let's go the first 30 minutes, our introduction to these characters. First of all, Bill Murray, right? So there's a bit of a draw. But say he wasn't Bill Murray. Okay. Sofia Coppola understands how to present people. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
She's good at what she does. And we are slowly presented to Murray's character. Enough, we're just like, why is he here? And we get answers to all of our questions. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
But it's also, we're here watching him in a place he doesn't know or understand.
Right.
He is taking the abuse for us.
Yeah.
Right? We're like, I don't get it. Oh, but I feel okay because he doesn't either. And he's the one catching shit for it.
Yeah.
And then Scarlett Johansson's character, same thing. It's like a slowly blooming flower. The petals slowly.
I mean, that's kind of
all the way around.
If we want to talk thematically about all of these, that's kind of the big thread that's gone through all of these slow burns that worked, is that they're introducing us to a world that we don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? In one way, shape, or form or another, that is essentially what they're doing. This world won't break. I understand this world. You don't need to tell me about this world for an hour or 30 minutes, as it were. Like, I fucking know. I know.
Well, we got
fucking it. Hell.
I know. We got it in the beginning. And like, there's a scene where he goes to talk to his dad.
Right.
Right? Oh my God.
Well, we don't need to experience all his problems in real time.
No. I just want to say this because when we went out, took a break, had a cigarette, came back in. And I said, this reminds me again of Bruce Willis. I think it was with David Letterman.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Back in the day when GW was running for president and Willis was asked, what does he think about him? Have you listened to this guy? If he talked any slower, he'd be listening. And that I get.
Yeah.
Because, I've heard Bush, both of them, especially Junior. So slow, first of all, that was kind of the pacing of the conversations.
Yes.
Nothing new was offered. Nothing new was offered.
This 30 minutes could have been over in 3 minutes.
Absolutely, it could.
I was going to spend another 2 hours on this movie.
Right. I didn't get, does he have like a beat on anything? Is he any fucking good?
Right.
Because that little jammy session with the old timer, right, didn't do enough.
No.
Okay. Lily offers more musical oomph when she's like warming up for the first 5 minutes.
Right. It wasn't that great. It was fine. You know?
Right. But it was just sort of like 2-chord.
It's what you'd hear in a bar in Texas somewhere if you were enjoying live music.
It didn't trip my blues trigger at all. At all. So all these movies that we talked about, that's the thing, is you can have the slowest burn ever.
Yeah.
But you've got to give something to the audience.
Yes.
You have to.
You have to give them something they haven't had before.
A musician who hasn't played any music, who is walking out with like $3 in his tip jar, to El Camino knockoff.
Why are we supposed to care about this guy?
Yeah, I get it. He's a struggling artist. Okay. But I was so disappointed from that point because I thought that's what got me into this through the trailer.
Yeah.
Right. What's this random his fucking lake house? So he's lost it. Okay. You know what? I think I don't care. Was he the asshole? Was she the asshole in this relationship?
Who cares?
If it does matter, then maybe introduce it in a better way than just a random message. Like I said, it was like a Better Homes and Gardens commercial. Look at this beautiful living room. Now, I'm not going to lie. This place was gorgeous.
It was beautiful. And one of the things that I said while we were watching it, if you remember, is we have a friend who's a cinematographer and filmmaker.
Yeah.
And he regularly posts. He's constantly fucking around, taking weird shots, doing
experimenting with
videos, experimenting with stuff. And he's an extremely talented person.
Oh, he's a brilliant camera operator.
His name's Jack Whaley. If you can find him, check out his stuff. He's amazing.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
He just recently did a film called 1 Foot In, I think.
Mm-hmm.
A short film. Fantastic. And he's always fucking about with stuff, testing stuff out, fiddling, experimenting.
Yeah, that's what you do. Because, as a photographer, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I have shot fucking 10,000 frames that nobody will ever see the light of day because just fucking around with stuff.
Well, and he, what Jack does is he'll post him on his personal Facebook page.
Well, yeah, this
so
is
I get
20,
a little
30
kind of
years
sneak
ago.
peek into them, which is kind of cool, and they're beautiful.
Well, yeah, being video and stuff. I mean, it's a lot of people do that, and it's great.
Yeah,
because it's cool to see someone trying something.
Yeah,
I wonder how this is going to work, and when you have someone who has the talent that Jack has,
yeah,
right, even fucking around, you're like, that is pretty good.
And that kind of was what I got the sense of this was that, like, Josh David Jordan or whoever, was kind of in charge of putting this together is like good at doing these kind of these little things, takes a lot of these little videos and stuff and just felt like stitching it all together into something and it didn't quite make sense. You know what I mean?
I do. I feel like it was like a collection of, ooh, this looks cool. Ooh, this looks cool. And then, ooh, I bet if I paste these together, do a voiceover, make a movie out of it.
Right.
And this might sound a bit harsh, but I mean, here's the thing when you're a creative, right? Most of the stuff we've seen, we love. Some of it we absolutely adore.
Yeah.
Right. That we've covered on the show.
We always, every time we watch a movie for the show and every time we watch a movie, in our like personal lives, we go into it with open hearts.
Yeah. But, the bottom line is some things are going to be stinkers to us. One man's shit is another man's diamond.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure there are people out there who love this movie.
Yeah. I mean, because I see it all the time. Come up like in Twitter and stuff. They repost like BuzzFeed shit. And I stay off of BuzzFeed. but they'll cut and paste shit. And I get there are people out there in their early and late 20s, right, who don't understand the draw of certain films from my day.
Yeah.
Right. But on the same note, I look at a lot of stuff out there. I'm like, why the fuck are people talking about this? This is the most rancid piece of shit that I have ever laid eyes on. Oh my God. Because it's just nothing. It's like, somebody out there loves the movie that is 94 minutes of just farting.
Okay.
All right. And I'm sure that movie exists. If it's out there, there's going to be a group of people who'll be like, fucking, hey. I get that. Right.
Sure.
So I get how things have their moment. And if you don't have context, you don't have appreciation. But here's the thing. Good cinema is good cinema. I wasn't alive in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and most of the 60s. And well, let's just say the 60s. I was alive the last couple months. But what did that get me? Nothing. I saw nothing. I remember nothing. The movies from there, like Casablanca.
Oh, yeah.
All right. It is, if you are into film, you're into Casablanca.
Yeah.
Right. We've talked about this. There are things that, as cinephiles or even just movie lovers, forget cinephile, just movie lovers, good story, good stuff. These things pack it every time.
I mean, our 12-year-old child loves the old Universal monster movies.
Yeah. And how many people have we found out love Creature from the Black Lagoon?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's wonderful.
That's my number one monster. I'm like, oh my God, I spent most of my life like, nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The Creature from the Black Lagoon. The what? God damn, we're the same age. We watch the same channel. Fuck you. But people out there adore it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's because it's good and groundbreaking on a lot of levels.
We did not expect to, unironically just love Space Trucker Bruce.
Right. We thought, oh, here's an earnest effort.
We went into it with open hearts.
Well, and we did.
Fucking fell in love, genuinely. With that
movie. And we were guilty of, because of the VHS style, digital video, right?
Yeah.
There was no LUT adjustments. Movies have a look. And when you see something, like when you film on your iPhone, right? No filters and bullshit. You can tell it's been filmed on an iPhone. It has that live VHS, like live TV look, like the 4K TVs when you don't turn all that fancy shit off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's that soap opera bullshit. It's weird.
I hate
live
that.
Daytime television look. Yeah.
I hate it.
So we looked at it and we thought, we went in and we admitted being wrong about this and that we shouldn't have done it.
Right.
Like, oh, okay, we know what we're in for, but let's give it a look.
This is going to be a goof fest.
Yeah, it's interesting. That had nothing to do with anything because that movie kicks ass.
Yeah.
I said it, I think in the episode, and I said it to Anton and Carl when we were interviewing them. It is my favorite buddy film above Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which reigned for decades as my favorite, kind of buddy film.
That's awesome.
This movie has more heart and technical skill. And Anton knew like fuck all. He learned as he went. He had to set the camera up with no camera operator. He's like, well, maybe this will do. And then he was in the scene, so everything about that came together technically. It was fantastic. The story and everything else was brilliant.
Yeah.
Was brilliant.
It was.
And it opened kind of slow.
Oh, yeah.
It
is. It's a little bit of a slow burn, that movie.
Yeah.
But there were a whole bunch, as we were talking, of like slow burn movies that, came to mind. Like every Wes Anderson movie ever made.
Yeah. Oh, we talked about Ninth Configuration.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good slow burn.
There's a lot of movement in the first 30 minutes. All right. But there's not a lot of direction. That comes together very slowly.
Well, it's that same kind of being thrown into a world that you don't fully understand.
Right. Oh, here's one. Predates that. MASH.
Oh,
The
sure.
movie. The original movie.
Sure.
That movie, for different reasons, is a slow burn. And folks, if you don't know, the original movie MASH had Elliot Gould, Donald Sutherland in it, and Gary Berghoff, who plays Radar in the TV show. And some people are like, what the fuck is MASH TV show? You know what? Suck it. Anyway, 80% of that movie was improv.
That's awesome.
Kind of just like let shit fly. Just let them go on camera. It was fucking wild. And it is a slow, meandering burn. But right away, the first 30 seconds, you're immediately interested in what's with this. And then bam, this guy. What? Huh? Bam. You know, it's his bag. You only get little bits.
Yeah.
Little bits. That's what makes it a slow burn. Is because they're not like, you know, anime style. My name is Walter O'Reilly. They call me Radar, and I was born in Iowa, Tacoma, Iowa, and da-da-da-da. And I did this, my mother, and this, and the farm, and the pigs, and this, and that. And I have I don't even know what it is, office clerk level of 10,000.
Right.
You know, just whatever, you know. They give you what you need when you need it. And I love these slow burn movies because most of the time you learn there's so much shit you don't need. Yeah. And you don't find yourself missing it. And then afterwards you're like, I got like a sandwich plate and a bowl instead of a fucking platter. And I feel more fulfilled.
Yeah.
Than if I had the big platter kind of thing.
So, you know, if you're doing a slow burn, do it right. Damn it.
That's a big lesson is we're sorry, you know, Josh, it just,
that's the other thing.
Do it,
I don't think this is a terrible movie. I think this is probably a fine movie.
Yeah. I'm not going to say like, you know, I don't want to hate on it. It lacked anything to attract me. And in fact, at the end, I felt like it was repelling me. It was diametrically opposing any expectations or hopes or whatever, you know. I was just empty.
Yeah.
I just didn't care enough to keep going through it. So that's the lesson, folks. That's why you give your shit to other people. I can't emphasize that enough. And we've talked about that. That's why you need a circle. That's why you need to find some people in your tribe. You need to be able to bounce stuff off folks.
Yeah.
You know, don't say, oh, I'm going to go send it in and, you know, this person's going to give me. No, they won't. Because truth comes from those who, you know, you can trust to tell you the truth. Right. We've talked to other people who are, you know, like, yeah, I got these people who tell me it's a sack of shit. And I know they mean it.
Right.
You know, not to give me a hard time. And if it's great, they'll say it's great. So when you get those people that you can trust with honesty, those are the people that you go to while you're crafting your story. Don't just take like what you think is your final draft and send it to a producer or something in a pitch or whatever and rely on their information to help make your story better. Because I'm just here to say at best it's 50-50 and it usually weighs on the side of it's going to fuck it up for you. Be bold, be brave, make your shit. And that's what indie film and B movies are about.
Yes.
Right. Anyway.
With that,
go
check out our website. It's www.lordsminstrelproductions.com. Everything is there. All the stuff.
Every bit of it.
The merch, the blah, 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 blah.
Links links to everything. Platforms, social media, merch store, podcast, blog. Patreon. You know, do it. Check out all those people we're involved with. On our links or our accounts.
Social media accounts.
Yeah, who we're following, who's following us. Because you know what, folks? It's hard. I want to give like, you know, it would be like a 20-hour episode just going through naming all the people and who do great things and why they do them. You know, that we've come in contact to and just, you know, stuff we've looked at from our followers. I mean, we check everything out that we can.
Yeah.
You know, but there's a whole world out there, folks. And what better way to get into it? Here's a good example. Marty Catola sent me a DM on Twitter. saying he listens to, I'm going to bring it up here because I forgot the name of it, a podcast, because I just subscribed to it. Went on the other screen. Here we go. The Coolness Chronicles. And this is one that, I wouldn't have found otherwise just because the universe is so vast.
Yes.
So anyway, the Coolness Chronicles with Ryan Lewis Rodriguez. So he listens to this podcast. Guess who Ryan had on as a guest? Miles.
Oh, yeah.
From the Just Dump podcast, Miles Trout.
Our buddy Miles. Miles is doing some cool stuff now, too.
Yeah. Well, check this out. So here's Marty's thing that he spun to me. So I'm listening to this podcast, right? And then this guy has this interesting fellow on called Miles Trout from the Just Dump podcast. And then come to find out, you've been on his show twice.
Yes. We have been on his show twice.
So you got to give Ryan a listen. So I did, hooked up, like I said, got a subscription and, good show. And, maybe we'll do some banter or something at some point. But anyway, that's how quickly this world can become small.
Yeah.
Right? Someone that we met via the show listens to a show that had somebody on that we've met through the show and been on their show. Right.
Yes.
And, and it was fun. It was great. And just the synergy thing that goes on. So folks, you need to, like I said, do yourself a favor. It's going to cut through a lot of slack. It's going to open a lot of doors for you a lot faster than just randomly trying to find shit. Because you've already got once removed connections.
Yes.
So, a little head start.
And reach out to us if you want us to, cover a thing.
Yeah. Talk to us about stuff or, whatever. Tell us what's going on with you and all this stuff.
We love interviews. And we do want to have Miles come on this show, repay him for his awesome kindness and having us on his show.
Yes.
So we're
maybe for the 100th episode.
We're working on that. Oh, that would be a cool one.
Even for a short bit.
Yeah.
Right? See if we can do that.
Possibly.
Yeah. Whole different thing for the 100th episode, folks.
We got a plan. It's a big one. 100 episodes.
Yeah.
100 episodes. Isn't that when they put you out to podcast pasture?
Not us. Because I tell you what, I'm going to keep patting myself on the back. We haven't missed a single week.
Yeah.
So what is this going to be? This will be 96. So by the time this comes out, 4 episodes away, people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, 94 is what's playing, I think, or 93. We're always 2 weeks behind. So anyway, that would be cool to do that. Anyway,
I think
folks,
you'd definitely be interested in that.
I think you'll like it. I think our topic is fitting. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm actually thinking of reaching out to folks to see if everybody we've talked to, if they want to do a 60-second contribution.
That'd be cool.
I can knit all these things together.
Yeah.
I don't want to try and get a big group thing.
That'd be messy.
It would be messy. It's a little simpler than that. Okay. So promise of big things coming. You've also just listened to the first of its kind episode for us, a movie we didn't finish.
Yeah. And starting next week, hopefully.
Yeah.
Provided we can finish the movie, we're going to come at you with a new format.
Yeah.
Where we don't go beat by beat. We will still spoil the heck out of the movie.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to
talk about it in minute detail.
Yeah. This isn't reverting to just like a movie review thing.
Right.
We just want to.
We want to spend less time talking about, literally what all happens in the movie and more time talking about the stuff you can learn from it.
And some movies might be a beat by beat. I mean, it comes down to what's relevant.
Sure.
That's the thing, is what is relevant of the movie that we want, that you go, oh, okay, that's cool. Some of them might be 20 minutes in between those moments, and you can just sum up what happened. Yeah. Right? Easy enough. Anyway, and if you don't like it, you can let us know. And if enough people don't like it, well, do something different or go back or whatever. Because I know we've had a lot of people write in saying, I love how you go beat by beat. I don't need to watch the movie.
Oh, interesting.
But you should. I always write back, but you should. You
should, because it's good.
And also, those people make money.
Yeah.
Pennies, but pennies add up.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, B-siders. I think that's it. Until next week, keep creating keep at it. And I got to put this PSA in here. I don't want to go off on a huge tangent, so let's be quick. Get a vaccination, wear your fucking masks, quit bitching, because everybody got this casual bullshit approach to it before. And as we are recording this today, I just saw there's like 36 states. Everything's fucking doubled. It's starting to spiral out of control again because everybody was just too fucking proud of themselves and in much of a hurry to get going. And now shit's starting to fall apart. So once again, my PSA request, I guess not even a PSA, my public request, my PR, grow up and let's do the responsible things. I think that has to be said. I feel good saying it.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, stay safe, stay creative.
Stay cool.
This is Jim.
And this is your starving artist / birthday girl, Danny.
Ooh, change at the end. It's a twist.
It's not a slow burn because I told you I'll fit the front end of this.
That's fair. All right. All right, guys. We love you. And, let's stay alive long enough to keep making some great shit.
Thanks
Until
for
next
listening.
week. Bye.
Bye.